Hi, it's Russ from Product Expert, and I've got myself a copy of Blue Cat's Patchwork. And I got an email today from somebody who said, would I do a show and tell of it? We've not done a show and tell before. There's some videos out there, but we've not done one. And we're running a deal at the moment on the site. And so somebody said, could I show it in action? So I'm going to show it in 3 different ways to show you the possibilities with it. The first thing to appreciate about it is that it's basically a digital patch bay that can host up to 64 different plugins at the same time. Now that sounds remarkably over the top, and in many cases that would be, but where it comes into its own is in three ways, and there are 3 ways I want to show you now. The first way is it will host VSTs, and so any VST audio or synth, it comes in 2 kind of flavors. It comes in the synth flavor, where you can put it onto instrument channels and host synths and plugins within those synths in VST. It also then comes in a regular flavor where you can use it as an audio plugin patch bay. And the great thing is you can then do parallel processing. Now, parallel processing is really cool. To do it in Pro Tools, normally what you'd need to do is set up an auxiliary track and then send the audio out to that auxiliary track and put plugins on the 2 different tracks and then have them working in parallel. Well, with this, you can actually do parallel processing straight away. Another great feature of it, of course, is that you can save basically channel strips of your favorite stuff. And then the third thing I'd like to show you as well is that in the synth version, you can host multiple synths at the same time. So you don't need lots of tracks to put 2 synths together, or 3 synths, or 4 synths. So you want to do piano and strings, or several kind of arpeggiators, and that's what I'm going to show you. You can do that. Some of you are going to say, well, if it hosts VSTs, what's the point? Well, the first point, of course, is that you can host VSTs in Pro Tools, which is great. The second thing is that if you own Pro Tools and you're thinking, well, I'm an AX, then the great news is that all the plugins, virtually all the plugins out there, are also available when you buy them as VST and audio units. So you get a VST version, so you could host them in here and have your own presets. So I want to show you 3 things. First thing I'm going to show you is the hosting of a VST. So I've got Oddity here, which is a plugin which is a VST only, and you couldn't play it in Pro Tools normally. So we've got it working here in Blue Cat Patchworks. And let me just get the screen reader state sorted out a bit. So I'll just turn a few things off for a second. What I've got here is this is Oddity on its own. Then what I've done as well is I've also then got a Moog filter. So that's now working. So what we've got here is the flow comes in like this. It comes in here, down through that lot, and then sideways, and then out again. So normally what you'd have in Pro Tools is serial. So it comes to the Moog filter there. You can see it, the Fab Filter Saturn I've got on here, and then I've got the new Rob Papen A-Mod, which is the modulation plugin. So I've got all those 3, and now normally they work in serial. So what would happen is the sound would come out of the Oddity, then into the Moog filter, then into the Saturn, and then to the A-Mod. So the audio would be going through that chain. The great thing about parallel is I can send it through the Moog filter and through the Fab Filter Saturn and through the A-Mod, and then mix them together. So the sound of the filter isn't the Moog is not affecting the Saturn, and the sound of the Saturn is not affecting the A-Mod. They're all got the Oddity running through them separately and then being remixed together. And that's the cool thing about parallel processing. So now it can go through the Fab Filter Saturn, for example. Let's bring that one up. So that's going on its own. It's called a loop destroyer, that sound. So that's... And the A-Mod's separate. So if I just turn it on the plugin clean, then I can mix stuff in. So you need to have a path for the plugin to run through that's clean. Otherwise, when you turn these off, you're going to get no audio because it's going through this path. It's got to pass through here. So you need to have if you want to run it clean and mix it in, you need to have a clean one going through there. So the Fab Filter Saturn is not being affected by that, and that's not being affected by that. So that's the first way. Then we could bring the Moog filter in as well. So we've got the LFO going now. So that's now coming through. So we put that back on. And the A mod. And the Saturn, and they're all working together. So that's the kind of thing you can do with the effects on a synth, and that's where you could host a synth, and you could save that chain if that was the kind of sound that you wanted. You want to keep bringing it back, and that would be one plugin. Then you could save that as a preset, and we could call that like Moog Odd Killer, and that's a preset now. And then every time we load that preset, it's going to bring all of those plugins in, which is really cool. So that's the first one to show you. The second thing I want to show you is where you can use it for parallel processing. So what we have here is we have a virtual tape machine from Slate. We've got the Fairchild in here, and they've got no plugin, so it's coming through first on its own. So let me play you that. This drum part from Superior Drum. So Superior Drummer is coming through as the plugin. Then we could bring in the Fairchild. So we've now got parallel compression going on. Now it's been slammed. There's the original. Bring the virtual tape machine in as well. And they're all working in parallel. So there's the clean one, the Fairchild, and the VTM working all side by side together. So there's the original drum sound. And then we've got mixed in there the Fairchild. And then I've also got an equalize here, so I could filter it as well, do some wild stuff. To filter that compressor. So you can see that the possibilities are endless doing that. And the third thing you can do with Patchworks is that you can bring a couple of synths in together. So what I've got here is I've got an instance of FabFilter Twin. So these are now running side by side. So we're using the chain coming this way now. So instead of getting two synths working on two different channels, got that FabFilter Twin there, and then I've got hybrid here, and then I can mix them together. Or choose a different sound altogether. There's the Fab filter. And there's hybrid. Now, of course, I could then come on the post as well here. I could load another VST in. Like the Pro compressor. It's got two synths going through a compressor together. So you can see that that should give you all the ideas of the possibilities with Patchworks. And then, as I say, we can save those favorites, and then we can have like gangs of synths working together, or parallel processing working together, or we can just use it to host VSTs and then add other things in. I think that's a really great plugin and well worth checking out, especially if you want to host VSTs in Pro Tools, or you want to do some parallel effects, or you want to save your effects chains. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.